Okay, folks, listen, we're going to crack on with it. So I'd like you to put your hands together for 4 guests who are Malachy, the Monaghan football manager, Conor McManus, the Monaghan football player, Marty Clarke, former Down and Collingwood AFL player, and Sean Cavanagh, who's now the former Tyrone captain, former Tyrone player. Gents, if you'd like to come up onto the stage, please. Thank you very much. Conor, listen, congratulations. I know it's not about All-Stars, and I know you're probably immediately feeling awkward to the fact that I'm started off asking you that, but a nice way to round off the year.
Yeah, I suppose at the start of the year or during the year, the last thing in your mind is All-Stars or anything else. You're just training away and working hard and trying to do your bit for the team, and I suppose at the end of every year that's where the conversation turns and people start picking their teams of the year and All-Star teams and whatnot. And look, it's nice to be on that team at the end of the year, I suppose, but if you were to ask anybody in Monaghan if they would have rather, you know, a couple of players in the All-Star team or being an All-Ireland final last September, I think that the answer would have been fairly unanimous. So yeah, it's nice to get it, but at the end of the day it's about where the team's at and where the team's going, yeah. Okay, folks, if anybody has a question throughout this, put the hand up and just now bring the microphone down and you can ask a question throughout the course of the day. So Conor, I just want to ask you, I was speaking to Eugene Youngs a little bit earlier, and he said he coached you at under 16 in an academy in Jordanstown at one stage, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but quite a skinny young cub, didn't look the most physical specimen of a player. I think Eugene can jump on the gun there, I don't think I was there at all.
he was getting mixed up with some other skinny person, but I suppose it's probably familiar. I mean, a lot of coaches here will have talented boys coming on, good footballers, and probably the concern would be he's a bit light, he's a bit skinny, he's a bit thin. I'm not saying you're too skinny, but I'm saying you maybe came from closer to that background.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt, and I suppose whenever you're that age, you're 16, 17, 18, your immediate thoughts are towards, you know, county minor teams and county jerseys and being in that category. And myself, like any other young lad, was that was all that was in my head. And when I got to 17, I didn't make them on a minor team. So I suppose at that stage I realised I had a bit of work to do. And
why did you not make the minor team? Do you think that was size or not good enough?
Yeah, well, probably a mixture of all of everything, but I definitely probably wasn't big enough, but maybe I just hadn't developed it as quickly as maybe as other young lads at my age. And I suppose the key learnings for that is everybody just develops at their own rate. You know, I went back to play with my club that year and got involved with the senior team towards the tail end of the year. We managed to win the senior league, and from that I grew into the Clontarf senior team in 2006 and played in the championship winning team and ended up, you know, playing on half forward on the senior championship winning team in 2006. And from that, you know, Bantley called me into the Monaghan senior setup. So from not making the county setup in 2005 to the following year, I was called into the senior setup. So things can, you know, elevate fairly quickly, but it's just about everybody develops and grows at their own rate. You know.
I'm guessing a lot of coaches would be interested in that because a lot of the people here will be taking guys who have been rejected for county minors, maybe they didn't go on Curry Cup squad or whatever it is, and to maybe try and pick them up again. And that's a remarkable turnaround. You're not good enough for the minors for whatever reason, and a year later you're in the senior and the county setup. Talk me through that year, how you got from A to B.
Yeah, well, it's not something that I really thought too much about. It was just a matter of going out and playing as much football as I could. I know that year in 2006, I probably would have played up on 60 or 65 games with Clontarf, and that was, you know, C football, B football, senior football, under 21 football. So it was just a matter of playing as much football as I could. It wasn't that I set out to do that within the year or anything else. I was just getting back into the thick of things and getting as many games. Just at that age, 18, 19 years of age, what else do you want to be doing? Only playing football. And I got my fair share of that, yeah.
Okay. Malachy, if I could just have a quick word. I know you want to see the All Blacks this evening. I suppose the question would be, because there's people here predominantly Gaelic games, but maybe some people are coaching in different codes. Is there much to learn from different sports? Is that something you've looked at, different sports?
Not really, I suppose, but there is something to learn from all sports, obviously, and a lot of skills transfer from one sport to another. And I think more so maybe with the rugby clubs now. I know as being a PE teacher and my day job, I know a lot of the rugby clubs are now coming into the so-called Gaelic schools because they see such a transfer of skills, and that the Gaelic players are good. They're good in contact, I suppose. They're good hand-eye coordination. Good fielding skills, all that. A lot of the things that are good that the rugby clubs want and standard rugby players. So there is that chance. But I suppose you're learning from all sports all the time, and you're looking at, even though the skills of the game might be the same, there are a lot of I suppose the principles of the game are fairly similar. And then the whole background to it, the whole mental side of the game, nutrition and everything else, there's a big overlap there. So you're all the time looking at other things and watching them and seeing can you pick up something from them.
I appreciate you're the Monaghan team manager now, but you've come through the club system, you've taken different clubs throughout your career. What's the big barriers in terms of management? What are the problems facing a coach?
It's again a fun to answer that one, but I suppose it differs from club to county. I know in Monaghan at the minute, for example, it's easier in a way, in that every night we go to training, everybody's going to be there. There's no questions asked. You never have where so and so tonight. They're just there. And if we say we're training 5 times this week, the boys will be there 5 times a week. So commitment levels are at a very high level. And again, I suppose the skill level and the quality that you're working at is good, because boys are very much at the same level. I suppose in clubs is a wee bit different in that maybe people are scattered all over the place. Maybe the commitment level is not as high at different times, and you've different problems. Probably when you get to county level, a lot of fellas are self-driven and they're I don't want to sound disrespectful or anything else, don't get me wrong, but maybe in club teams it's harder to get maybe a panel of 25 fellas who are all thinking on the same wavelength, and who are all really self-driven and are looking after themselves to the best they can and so on. So there's wee problems like that are obviously different. So obviously then at county level there's the microscopes on you all the time, and the whole media and so on. So sort of it's a different ball game at both levels, but I suppose coming up through and being involved in school teams, being involved in club teams, being involved, it gives you a good ground, and you can you're sort of solving problems on the job all the time. And when you meet new and you've maybe came across it before, or you're sort of better able to handle it.
Okay. Marty, Clarke, if we just have a wee chat. Marty, you're here wearing 2 hats almost, Gaelic footballer in your own right, but also has played professionally in Australia. So you've come through that coaching system now with underage inter-county teams, and you're kind of the freshest out of the entire system at the minute. How does Gaelic games compare to the professional setup in Australia, in as much as you can compare them?
Yeah, it's difficult to compare, but I suppose contact hours in Australia are greater, so coaches have more access to the players to educate how the game plan and sort of lifestyle as well, whereas in Gaelic games it's difficult because, as Malachy sort of suggests, there's a number of guys coming from different walks of lives, and they're coming into that 2 hours, 2.5 hour session twice, 3 times a week, whatever it is, so it's more difficult to condense game plan, player development, skill level, fitness, everything into that, whereas in Australia when you're walking in at 8 o'clock in the morning to the training facility and walking out at 4:35 in the evening, you've more time, 4 or 5 times a week to sort of address all those issues. But in terms of the athletes I played with and the skill level and the commitment, there's no difference between Australian rules and Gaelic, and I actually think, thinking of the down dressing room that I was in, some of the guys are they're definitely fitter, and certainly after defeats in big games and things like that, you couldn't compare how personally guys take it in the GAA compared to in Australia. Maybe it doesn't mean as much because of the sort of passion we have for the game here.
Okay. For someone who's an aspiring coach and coaching at the minute, what's the one big thing you've noticed, Marty, in terms of when you were coming up through that underage system, through the school system, the club, in comparison to now? What's been the big difference, if you can pick out 1 or 2?
I suppose for me, I sort of took on a role this year with my brother's club outside Castlewell in St John's, and I was coaching / manager, and the big thing I took was kind of not to try not to treat everyone the same. Obviously very inexperienced, I'm delighted to be here today trying to learn as much as I can in that caper. But it's kind of, even as much as a warm-up, I know as a player in a warm-up I wasn't one for shouldering in and busting myself in the warm-up. I wanted to take my time, so I kind of give guys an option if they want to come an hour and a half before the game, they can do that. You know, you can get physio and whatever you want, but everyone has to be there 40 minutes before the game. And then we have a meeting and we go out and things like that. So just trying to treat everyone sort of in groups, just personality, trying to keep everyone. Obviously you have your team meetings and you want everyone singing on the same page, but you know, different things motivate different players and things like that. So that was the main thing for me, sort of moving into coaching.
The warm-up's an interesting one because it's the first thing you do at any coaching session, but if you watch Aussie rules, they seem to just gently warm up. It doesn't seem to be very intense, whereas, you know, if I'm commentating on a game and you're looking down, I mean, the warm-up is ferocious in comparison to Aussie rules. It seems like a remarkable difference between the two.
Yeah, it's kind of they give an option, particularly, you know, when I was there, my experience, I know this is across the board, but you go 2 hours before the game, and some guys did that, and they like getting sight from reading the programme, whatever else. But there's also an option to come, you know, at 40 minutes sort of bracket before the game, and that would have sort of been the group I would have wanted to win. You know, drive down into the game, have a chat, get the shorts on, and then go into the team meeting. Whereas other guys were, you know, they wanted to do the boxing before the game, but it was sort of available for everyone. Whereas I did feel when I came back to play the game, it was almost one size fits all, and you know, if you have to do this sort of thing, and it's only a small thing to warm up, but you know, that's kind of the detail that they've been into over in Australia, and I definitely think it is relevant.
Okay. And was that player-led or coach-led? It was up to the individual player to do that?
Yeah, it was. You had the option, so it was option A, B, C, D, whatever it is, okay. You just chose what to do.
Brilliant. Okay. Sean, if we're going to chat, how's life after football?
Yeah, really good. Thomas, I thought I'd miss it much, probably more, and I've just been that busy, and the run we had with the Moy last year was a big distraction from that transition from county football to club football, but I genuinely, I now realise the merits that there are in club football as well. It's been a, you know, you can take a step out of that pressure that the county lads are constantly under, and as a county player, I felt that all the time, even though I'd been there 15, 16 years. I constantly felt the need to continually push myself. After the first thing after I finished the training on a Tuesday night at 9:30 or 10 o'clock I was thinking already about what I was going to do in the gym that next Wednesday evening, or what I was going to get up that Wednesday morning. And being on that cycle for a long time just really takes its toll on you. Just, as a person, like, you know, at home I would find myself not that more ratty with the wife and kids and whatnot, and just to come out of that environment and take a breath was a real breath of fresh air. And obviously the success we had with my own club was amazing and helped that, but still being a club player this year was something I really enjoyed, because I got to get the first time in a long time that bit of balance between life and sport. I really enjoyed it.
How important is that balance? Now that you've come through
it's massive, and I'm sure everyone here today will talk about the challenges we find probably at the moment with mental health and young lads, and we're obviously the society that I grew up in as a teenager was much less complex to the society we're looking at now, and I see that in teams now. I see much more, you know, a much greater need to look after guys' minds and look after guys' needs more so than whenever I was growing up. It wasn't a thing. I think it obviously has always been a thing, but it wasn't, maybe because it wasn't talked about as much. You never thought about it as much as well. I think now it is such a big thing, and social media society and all the pressures that lads are under, it's just more complex. So I'm glad I grew up when I did, but I think that's as a coach and a number of people I'm sure will talk about today, that's to me the biggest challenge to coaches is trying to get to know your real players and get to know how they are and get to know. And as Martin said, there is no one size fits all. There's certain lads will always be brilliant and always be fine and always be good and comfortable in their own skin, but there is much more of a need now to consider lads that maybe aren't in that right place, and that to me is massive.
I know you came through the Tyrone underage system, so I don't know if there was ever a stage where you were like almost a full-time Moy Gaelic footballer, because you'd always county commitments, but now that you're a full-time Moy footballer, can you talk me through the difference between maybe when you not that you left full-time, obviously you're still playing for the Moy, but when you left at the beginning of your Tyrone career to now, can you talk me through the difference in that club scene?
Yeah, look, it's massive, and everyone I'm sure here knows that, whenever I first started to play with Tyrone in 2002, the senior level, we trained 1 night a week up until April, and then we did 2 nights a week. There was no such thing as gym, there was no such thing as stretching in the evening. It was much more of a relaxed environment, and yeah, you got really serious obviously as the summer went on, but now we're in the middle of November and I'm getting WhatsApp messages saying, everyone stick in your gym work for this week, and you're thinking it's November, it's not going to be a ball kick to March. I almost wonder, and look, I'm probably a bit of a freak in that I'm always looking to do things. If I haven't got a gym session, I'll go and play basketball, or I haven't got a basketball session, I'll go and do a run. But that's just me as an individual. I think there's a need to let the individuals decide themselves, a bit like what Marty said, that guys need to be given that space and that level of respect to do what they need to do and do what they want to do. I think there's maybe too much of an emphasis on military sort of style regimes where you have to be in the gym at 7:30 in the evening or 6:30 in the evening. That's putting guys under pressure, and I maybe saw it towards the tail end of my county career where guys were, and obviously in Tyrone we were very lucky. We normally get the best players in the pitch, and all the best players are involved in the county team, but I started to see guys resent being part of a county team because they had to be in GAA at 6 o'clock in the evening, and they were working in Dublin, or they were working and they were self-employed, and all that started to come in. That wasn't really an issue at the start of my career with Tyrone, because the levels of commitment weren't as bad. But now, as maybe Malachy said, it's a 5 night a week, a 6 night a week, and the pressures are huge on our players. And that it can be a great thing in terms of product, in terms of developing players, but equally, some players maybe just don't need that or can't cope with that as well. So I think we maybe have gone a little bit too far, and there probably needs to be a need to take a step back and relax it a little, and sort of allow the players a little bit of wiggle room to decide what they should and shouldn't be doing.
Okay. I'm going to open this to the floor, folks. So has anybody got a question for any of our panel here that is brave enough to be the first person to ask a question in front of a hall packed full of people? Not one brave person among you. Nobody interested in coaching whatsoever. Good man. There's a man down here at the front. Go ahead, Chief.
Just open to all the panel. Do you feel that there's enough for, even if any, I know we talk about player development when players are young, but whenever players are, say, coming to the end of their careers, say, they're mentioning they're playing or training maybe 5 nights a week, to maybe fill that void after they retire, or just to get something in place for when the football career ends?
Okay, well, Sean, you're probably the most recent.
I suppose chasing after each other and everything that goes with that. I was probably lucky as well that I started my own business just as my county career, and that probably was a conscious decision of mine as well, whereby I knew I was going to have a bit more time, and I almost wanted to transfer the energy that I put into Gaelic inter-county football into something else, and whilst I do that with the club obviously and all the training and work that goes with that, I was able to distract myself with that. And I think there is it's a valid question. Yet again, it's coming down to trying to, we all talk about the GAA family and everyone rallying around one another, but there are guys that can get lost, and that's another trend that I saw as well, is that guys were choosing careers that maybe wasn't what they could possibly max out in a career sense, but it suited the football sense, and that's the danger, whereby guys now could be turning 29, 30, 31, and maybe deciding that they've been working for 10 years in a career that maybe isn't really their life career, and they're going to have to go back and retrain, and that's a challenge too.
Okay, good man. I'm conscious there's only 10 minutes left before the guys go, so if you have a question, folks, I'm trying to get through it here. So Eugene, you've got something in the back?
Just a quick question to myself, to Malachy. Malachy, as a senior county manager, what sort of players are you looking for? What would you want your players arriving to you with, so that people in clubs and academies can actually prepare them to the best that they can?
I think the most important thing of all is with a good attitude. I think that's key, because no matter how talented they are or anything else, if they haven't got that attitude, then they're not going to go very far. And I think there's a couple of things with this. I think with ourselves as well, it's about, I think over the years people have come into county squads and come in with a sort of, whether you say a big reputation or success at an underage level, one thing or another. And then in the first year they didn't really get on the team and didn't struggle for 1 second and says, here, this isn't for me, I'm out of here. And that was it. Whereas I think it's making sure the fellas come in and making them aware straight away that this mightn't happen for you in year one, it mightn't even happen for you in year two, but it's about really realising that it's developing yourself and making sure then that when the chance does arise that you're ready for it, to take that opportunity. So I think the attitude is key, and I don't want to start mentioning too many names on else, but one of the fellas that mentioned from our own setup was Niall Cairns, and Niall came in the year before last. Probably nobody had heard of him last year at all. He came in from a junior club, but he stepped away. He never missed a training session. His attitude was great. He did an awful lot of work with Ryan and so on to build himself up and everything else. And then this year, at the start of the year, he came in the McManus Cup and he took off from there. And I don't think he missed the game all year, and he ended up getting lost on nomination. So I think that the attitude is a key thing, that fellas have that wee bit of resilience about them, and that they know it's not going to happen overnight, but to stick at it and so on. I think that's a key thing. And then obviously the other things, more and more, it's just fellas coming in, just having that basic knowledge of looking after themselves, nutrition, and all that sort of thing. The technical skills, obviously, that they've practiced on their own, that they're coming in. I said earlier on about the quality levels you want. So you want fellas who are up to that pace. And then I suppose the biggest thing more than anything else, the higher level you go, it's about I suppose game sense and decision making. I think that's the big thing. So you can have nearly all the other things, but a fella's coming in and still isn't able to read things happening around him and isn't making those decisions under pressure. I think that's the problem. So I think that's one area that we, I know it is being addressed, but that's one area I think that's key. Fellas coming in who haven't just got the skills and got the fitness, but who actually have been subjected to a lot of that type of game situation where they can actually make good decisions. I think that's crucial, at the higher level.
Okay, brilliant, Malachy. Anybody else, folks, question for any of our panel? Somebody down at the back, Eugene, if you could make your way over there, please. Thank you very much.
I just have a question for Mark Clarke. Is there anything in particular you've took back from Australian rules in your coaching now with Gaelic football that maybe you hadn't seen in Gaelic football here from the coaching that you had been partaking in?
Yeah, it's probably the ball. There's just a ball and everything. Every drill you do, you'll have, so just say it's a simple straight line warm-up drill where your hand passing going to the back of the line, there'll be an injured player or a member of the backroom team, they'll be firing an all-hand pass in it, you receive it, give it back. So you're doubling up there every time. It's keeping injured players who potentially are a bit isolated from the main group, it's keeping them involved in the training. Every time you come in between drills, the injured players are there. It's helping them, but it also means when they're back in the side, they're ready to go. In a meeting room, if you're going through naming the team, whatever it is, every player has a ball sitting in the meeting room. You hear them hitting it, hand passing it. And I think maybe with the gym culture coming in more and more in the GAA, young guys and older players are losing that touches of the ball. And I know I spoke to Stephen Poacher about this as well, who obviously is a coach that I would look up to with the drills and stuff he's doing, and he talked about at underage level giving a ball instead of a medal or a trophy if you win something. So that's the big thing for me from Australian rules. Is when you're out in the pitch, you're getting so many touches, so many kicks, hand passes. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. You know, the best coaches, the best teams are doing it, but it's just about your time away from the club too. Always having the ball in your hands, so it's second nature. You can make the decision. You don't have to worry about receiving the ball. It's just smooth. Your decision's made. So that's one thing I definitely take into coaching.
Okay. Another question on the floor, please.
That's another question for Malachy. You're renowned for your management skills. So how do you keep the players that aren't getting game time happy? And how do you keep them physically in condition so whenever if they might get the chance that they're ready as well?
Well, I think that with regards to the physical side of things, I think everybody would be following the same routine with regards to training, and so there shouldn't be much of a problem that way. I suppose the other thing, I think the big thing is just making everybody feel as if they're valued, and that nobody, even if it's number 36 or number 1 or whatever else, that everybody feels they have a part to play in it. You know, that it's never a case of, well, look, these are the important fellas and these aren't, you know, and so it's just more or less, I suppose, you know, common sense in a way. It's just if you have a group of 35 players there, you know, if they go in, no matter what, you know, whether they get much game time or not, if they can go away at the end of it and say, well, look, they thought a lot of me there. They actually, you know, valued me there. They valued me input. It wasn't that, you know, if we're having a meeting or opening it up or not, you know, it's not a case that we're going to say, well, Conor, what do you think? Well, it's trying to get everybody, you know, that you know, so that even the fellas aren't necessarily playing all the time, at least they think that, look, we're central to this, and then you do give them a chance as well. You know, you have to give them the chance, and you know, and try to have feedback with them, and it's just, I suppose, having a relationship with fellas, and that you know, no matter whether he's number 35 or number 1, again, you can have a chat with him about anything, and it's just having that sort of I suppose it's you know, human nature. It's just time, as I say, just trying to have everybody feel that they're part of it and very much involved in it, and that they're valued in it.
Okay, Malachy, thank you. Anybody else? Somebody else? Two people down here. Please, Eugene, if you jump over there, please. Thank you very much.
Hey lads, kind of a question for manager and player. With more use of like stats and performance analysis now, so from Malachy's point of view, how helpful do you find it as a manager? And then the flip side, the players, how helpful or unhelpful is it to be getting analysed?
I think there's a place for it with regards to stats gathered during a game, and without going overboard on it or without, you know, but it does show you patterns emerging and what different people are doing and things like that there. So there definitely is a place for it, and then obviously the GPS stats and so on are very valuable. Not so much of it, you know, judging players on how far they ran and that there, but again, and I'm just referring to Ryan Porter over here, who's responsible for a lot of stuff that goes on in our setup, and it'd be very, Ryan would use that information a lot, and the physios would use it a lot, you know, and that sort of thing. So I think it is, the stats are very important, but because again, a lot of times it's stats aren't anybody's opinion. It's in black and white. So if you show somebody a stat, there's no real argument with it, you know, and thing is the same as a video. You know, say a video has no opinion. It's black and white. So if somebody looks at that and you show somebody something, well, you see it yourself. It's not me the same as somebody. Look, if you didn't do this or that, you know, they can argue back. So I think it definitely is useful, but you know, again, going overboard and making too much use of it, it's probably counterproductive.
Would you bring that in at like half time, Malachy? Would you use it that quickly? It's probably not a resource that would be available to maybe most clubs, but would you, like, you know, I know some of the county managers, they meet among themselves the first 5 or 6 minutes at half time, go through what people feed into that process and then deliver the message to the players. Would that be something that happens with you?
Yeah, it would. And I suppose we'd have, you know, 3 or 4 key areas that we'd be looking at, and we'd look to see the stats in those, because again, as I'm saying, if you're trying to cover too much, you know, the boys here will tell you that you know, they're not going to they're not going to remember it, they're not going to listen. There's so much going on in everybody's head at half time. It's just trying to minimise the information and give something that's valuable going out in the second half. So it's just looking at key areas and giving information on those stats. So those are the ones using it. And then for myself, it'll be more after the game that an awful lot of the stats are useful, that when you have time to look through it and find out exactly what is going on and what different people are doing and the patterns in the game, and then you can use it then prepare for the next match. But at half time of that, it would be trying to just key zone in on the most important parts.
Okay, Conor, just because I know it's opened up to one of the players as well. From your perspective, working under different managers, club, inter-county scene, from a player's perspective, stats, all this kind of stuff, do you pay attention?
Stats can depend on how you're playing, I suppose. A lot of the time it's not that great to be analysing your stats. But no, it is, as Malachy said there, like as a team, and when you're meeting before a game and you're meeting during the week or whatever the case is, there's certain things that you're talking about and there's certain things that you're trying to work on and get through the game. You come in at half time, it just gives you a real idea as to where you're at and whether you're hitting them targets, and within 2 or 3 minutes you automatically know what you need to do better, what you've been doing well. So it's a good way of just having indicators and sort of performance indicators as to how you're going and the game where you need to go without going into a big massive talk or a conversation about things. It's a quick fire way of knowing how you're going and what you need to do better.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, gents. Another question on the floor, please.
Yeah, just I suppose the whole panel, touching on some of the stuff you've been talking about, guys, around I suppose sport-life balance in particular. Do you think across the board, and I know there's a big difference between coming up as a young player at club level, going to schools level, and then obviously a massive leap even in commitment levels and all that to county level. But across the board, do we take all this too seriously as coaches and as players? It's an amateur game, I completely agree. Obviously county level, the commitment levels and everything was just massive, but are we maybe turning some players off, the way Malachy, you were talking about attitude being absolutely key? Are we maybe turning some players' attitude off because it maybe gets too serious too quick?
Okay, Marty, if we go to you first of all on that one, because you've had sort of the professional experience in terms of Australia and everything else. People are saying at the minute that it's too much, it's OTT. I was at a study with the GAA and GPA 2 months ago, and I mean it was frightening, the level of commitment required, and yet there was still a happiness among the players to do that, which sounds in some regards a contradiction.
I suppose every camp's different as well. There'll be certain managers and coaches that have less contact with the players, and other guys who want them in more and more. But I suppose the beauty with the GAA, there's an option to opt out. Guys that go travelling for a year or whatever they want to do, that's fine. And the guys that are willing to commit, that they're in for the journey. So I suppose in professional sport you're kind of bound by a contract and you have to be there whether if you think you're in too much or not enough. You just have to take it with it. I suppose specifically on the question, has it gone too far? Well, it's difficult enough for me to sort of get a gauge of that because I haven't been in a county panel for a number of years now, so probably Sean, Malachy and Conor are better to ask, but it's a really difficult question. Again, I think good managers, I had a manager in Australia, McManus, he was able to identify when certain guys were maybe a bit slow or they just weren't themselves. He would call them into the office and he would just say, look, have a week off, or is everything okay? That's when the managers really, for me, they can identify, look, this guy maybe is feeling the heat a bit much, is everything okay at home, or X, Y or Z. But I think in terms of if you're a young guy who loves football, can you get enough contact hours? Probably not. I know when I was 16, 17, 18, right through my professional, I wasn't in the club enough. I loved it, and I know many players and coaches think the same way. But obviously that there are certain people who are opting out, and that's fine. The commitment has definitely increased massively in the last few years, but I suppose every camp's different.
Sean, you're probably best placed because you've kind of just finished that almost, if you can call it, full-time inter-county setup. You've started a new business. Could you have started that 2 years ago?
No, not at all. And in actual fact, I had this conversation recently with someone. I was saying, like, as an employer now, would I really want to employ an inter-county player? And to be honest with myself, I'd probably say no, because the distractions, and I would say Colin, he's obviously still in the, and he's doing a bit of work for me, but at the same time, when you're in that county setup and that WhatsApp's going, you've 2 or 3 WhatsApp groups and you've physios coming at you and you've strength and conditioning coaches coming at you and you've managers coming at you, and it's 5-6 nights a week. It's tough, it's tough, and you love it. No one wants to complain about it. Like, everyone, we love our games. Everyone wants to go to Grove Park. Everyone wants to play for the county and that hot summer's day in Clonus. But I feel anyway, yeah. Like, I think it's gone a little bit far. I think the best managers, as Marty said, will be able to see the individual needs in the players, and even at club level now. And I see that myself, and been involved a bit in club management this year. And I think we have to respect players' lives a little bit more, and realise that certain guys aren't going to be able to commit to the same levels at certain times of the year if they're working away, if they're under stress at work, if they're under stress at home. And I think there's such a more need now to reflect that individual's needs, because it was maybe not as bad 10 years ago when there was a 2-night-a-week session, and you know, you always wanted to be at those collective sessions, but there's certainly a much more of a mindfulness now that players are so much more under pressure in their lives, in their sport, and to get the best out of that player, you're going to have to work out a formula or an algorithm to try and work it for them, and that means that they train individually. You know, the best players, I feel, a bit like Marty and Connor's alluded to, the best players will always, and I probably would have been the same myself, will always find a way. You'll always find a way. If you want to train harder, if you want to improve on your kicking, you'll find a way to kick, whether 7 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. If you're working during the day, you'll find time to do it. And I think we have to trust our players that a little bit more to allow them, and some will always want to be there in the pitch and will always want to do the collective thing, and that's fine. But if it doesn't suit others, and you're putting a gun to their head and saying you must be here and you have to be bought in and all, I don't think that'll necessarily work. I think you have to respect it.
Okay, I'm going to try and get one more question in, but I want to come to you on that, Malachy. It's probably different in an inter-county setup to an extent that, you know, there's a remarkable buy-in from players, and you probably take a level of that for granted. But if there is someone that comes to you with, you know, can't do this, can't do that, a lot of work on at the minute, and particularly maybe down the club scene when you were involved before Monaghan, how do you deal with that? Because the level of commitment required now is so ferocious.
Yeah, I suppose just to finish the last question first, a couple of things about that I would say is you know, I know that I mentioned the 5 nights a week earlier on, and that's why I'm glad that I got talking before Conor did. But in fairness, you know, and again I'm referring to Ryan out here, you know, I know, and I'm sure Conor will back me up on this, the boys, you know, would be training twice a week collectively. Then they would be doing, you know, a couple of gym sessions, but they wouldn't be coming to us to do them unless the home-based lads. And I'd like to think that there's always a bit of crack in the thing. And I know personally, I wouldn't be involved in it unless I was having a bit of crack. And you know, I know when we went over to the car to training, you know, football's often the last thing that's talked about in the car. You know, and there's a lot of other stuff talked. You know, but it is, you know, so it can't be a chore. You know, and you know, I'd like to think that the lads, they're all best mates. That, you know, as I often say, it's the best time of your life. You know, and there's no doubt you'll look back in years to come and you'll think, geez, that was brilliant, and I miss it, and you know, that's, you'd like to think that, you know, maybe Conor will tell you something different, but you know, I think that's important too. The boys are together so much, the best buddies. There's a social side to it, they go out together, you know, when they get the chance. You know, they're very lucky in a way in that you're surrounded by your mates all the time, and so if you have problems or anything else, you're chatting about it and things like that, you know, so I think it's important, you know, to answer the question, it's important to keep that balance, that it can't be all serious and intense. Yes, you need that at times, but there has to be, you know, there has to be a bit of crack. The boys have to be enjoying it, and I think that's key. But what you mentioned there, Thomas, I suppose, look, again, it's just very much on an individual basis, and there's a human side to everything. You know, if someone comes and says, listen, I'm you know, bothered between work, between home life, studying, whatever else it is. There's never a problem with that, and you build up that trust over a period of time. You know that the boys they're not doing it for the wrong reasons, and you know that if they need a bit of time away, or if there's something on in their life that's very important, then there's never a problem with that, and you know that they'll give it back to you. I suppose at this stage, as I often say to the boys, we're not, we don't need you to prove your commitment anymore. We know that's there. We know that you'll do whatever's asked. So it's a case now that it's trying to look at everyone as a human being and treat them in the right way.
Okay, brilliant, Malachy. Conor, I'm going to come to you on that actually, because you've started a new business recently. You're a prominent inter-county player, and getting that sort of work-life relationship balance correctly. Like Sean was saying that he probably would have found that impossible to do 2 years ago when he was doing that, but you're doing it.
I have done whether it's right or wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I suppose it brings its own challenges. But it goes back to what Malachy says, and I suppose the key message for this in anybody is nobody's been forced to play Gaelic football. And as Marty alluded to, we have boys that are going travelling and they're going doing their own thing, and that's completely fair enough. But when you're in, you commit to a certain level. And I suppose it's like work or it's like sport or anything else. You're not going to get anything handed to you. You're going to have to work for it. And in order to get out of Gaelic football what you want, you have to put your head down and do a certain amount of work. But as Malachy says, there's an element of crack to it and an element of enjoyment to it that it's very hard to see where you get that anywhere else. You're in the prime years of your life. You're playing football with your best friends and fellas that you talk to day in, day out. And you go in when you're there for the hour and a half that you're there. You do all you can, but after that, it's very much getting on with your life and doing your own thing. We have 25 lads in Dublin at the end from the Monaghan panel, and they see fit to come down and travel down on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, go back up. Yes, it can be tough at times, and yes, there's times you're stuck in traffic coming out of Dublin and Jesus, not again. But I think if you weigh the two things up, the enjoyment of it and the fulfilment you get out of it completely outweighs any of the commitment issues that go with it.
Okay, we've got one more question from the floor. We're going to go there. Thanks, Conor. Go on ahead.
Just opening this up to all of you, regarding player mentality, with the work-life pressures and everything, how would you approach a player if you start to see them slipping in their performance?
Okay, Malachy, I suppose we'll come to you first because you are the manager here. If you do notice something like that,
well, again, I suppose it's, if you notice a slippage in performance, just drop them.
Personality.
I suppose and that can happen obviously, and again, even sometimes the GPS stats and that show that when fellas are tired or maybe there's something else going on in their life that the performance levels are going down a wee bit. And again, it's just a matter of if you see that, trying to find out what is going wrong and sort of take corrective action, whatever that is, whether it means giving them a bit of a rest, whether it means having a chat, just find out what's going wrong, or obviously it could be just a footballing issue that you think that there's something he could be doing better or whatever else, so it's just, again, very much on an individual basis, trying to find out why it's happening and then do something about it.
Okay, just when you have the mic there before I move that on, can I just ask you one question? Conor touched on it there. You've 25 lads based in Dublin. You're training an inter-county team that was within fractions of making an All-Ireland final this year. There's a lot of people down here who will have lads based in Belfast, based in Dublin, and that brings its own difficulties. How difficult is that to manage, and is it manageable? How do you actually do that?
Again, to be honest, it doesn't present many problems because the boys just they don't complain about it. I suppose Monaghan's maybe slightly different in that, I'm not sure, probably an hour and 20 minutes, which is, I suppose is plenty, but it's not undoable. But no, the boys come down. I suppose they come down together in the cars. They've got into that mindset of doing it, and it doesn't cause any problems. And again, I suppose we go back to Ryan and the fellas who I suppose were very conscious of that. Particularly, maybe this year when the games were coming thick and fast, was that to not be bringing fellas down the road if they didn't need to be. You know, there's no point bringing fellas down the road, you know, spending so much time on the road to have them out in the field for 20 minutes and have a meeting or something like that you could do some other time, but it wasn't going to add much value to what you're doing. So it's just a case of being sensible, and again, that's the case. It's a case of, I suppose, less is more, and trying to make sure that the quality of the sessions are good, and that you know, I'd be as bad as anyone else. I know Ryan, the boys would have to rein me in. You know, I'd be thinking maybe you could do a bit more, and Ryan would be more scientific, and he'd be saying, no, look at that, no, you know, we've done enough anymore, and it's going to, you know, they're not going to get benefit out of it. You know, you can flog them here all you want, but no, it's not going to benefit them in anything. It's going to make them stale. It's going to make them more tired, and there'll be no freshness there. So it's very much about that. It's having that in the back of your mind all the time. It's you know, factoring in that the amount of travelling they have and so on, and it's time to keep everything in. You know, keep things then maybe as short as you possibly can, and making sure the fellas are still hungry and fresh and mentally fresh for the challenges ahead.
Okay, brilliant. Let's squeeze one more in. I know you wanted to get around everybody, but I want to get just one more question, and then we are finishing because we've run way over here. Anybody else from the floor? Yes, this man here. Okay, I'll pass on.
Just, I suppose, just to Conor there. Conor, you talked about, you know, when, you know, a later developer in football, and I suppose you could talk to simply Carlo Cavanagh and players that have come to football later on. Do you think of the GAA doing enough for the player who's finished at 17 now with County Minor, between 17 and 20? Are the counties doing enough between 17 and for the 20? The players who aren't the elite players will say, you know, the ordinary 5/8 that's in the club, you know, finishing football at minor at 17 now. Do you think our county's doing enough to cover for? There seems to be a lot of players there that could be maybe caught up in the net later on and develop later on, you know, to help players who got develop later.
Yeah, I suppose, and it's new to everybody that at the minute, because obviously this is the first year of under 17s, and every young lad normally had an extra year that took them up to 18, and after that you nearly got a better picture of where players were at and whether they, as Malachy talked about, players with the right mentality and things like that there. So I think the big thing is, if a player really wants to develop, he'll always get a chance. There's always going to be football there for him. You know, every player in the country has their club, regardless of whether they're in county squads, development squads, colleges, whatever else it is. Every player has their club, and I think that's the big thing is clubs getting players back and making sure that they're bringing them in, getting them into senior training, getting them into, you know, whether it be it development training or whatever the case is, just making sure that there's contact for them all the time. But I think that a lot of that is going to fall to clubs now. That the onus is on clubs now to make sure that they're making the most of every player and every opportunity they have to get them involved. Because that is an issue now more so than ever, because the players are finishing up in minor football. Where do you squeeze in, you know, under 20 football? It's young to be bringing a lad in at 17 into the senior setup. But we just have to make that conscious effort of making sure that everybody's involved.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there, folks. We've run way over, but listen, fantastic insight. It could go on all day. So listen, a round of applause for our panel, please.